This happened in 2019 during my junior year at college. I was renting a small one-bedroom apartment just off campus in a quiet part of town. The building was nothing fancy. 2 floors, 6 units, kind of old, creaky floors, that yellowed paint around the baseboards. But it was cheap, and I liked having a place to myself. The landlord, Mr. Travers, was this older guy in his 60s, wore sweater vests, talked way too slow. He was nice, but he mostly kept to himself. Rent was due on the first of the month in a little lockbox on the ground floor. That was the extent of our contact. One Thursday afternoon, around 3 p.m., someone knocked on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone, so I looked through the peephole first. There was a man standing there in a gray hoodie, dark jeans, maybe mid-40s, clean-shaven. I didn't recognize him. When I asked who it was, he said, "I'm the landlord. Need to check something in the kitchen. Won't take more than a minute." That threw me off. First of all, this guy looked nothing like Mr. Travers. Second, I hadn't put in any maintenance requests. So I asked, "You're the landlord?" And he replied, "Yep, just doing routine checks. Got a few units to get through today." I didn't open the door. I said, "Mr. Travers usually emails first." And the guy went quiet for a second before saying, "Right, he told me to stop by. I'm just filling in for him." His tone wasn't aggressive, but it had that overly casual thing, like he was trying to sound too relaxed. It made my skin crawl. I told him I wasn't comfortable letting anyone in without notice, and that I'd be calling Mr. Travers to confirm. The guy said, "Suit yourself," and walked away. I called Mr. Travers immediately. He picked up on the second ring. I asked if he'd sent someone to inspect my unit. He said, "Absolutely not." He hadn't authorized anyone to come by. I told him what the guy looked like, and he got quiet. Then he said he'd call the other tenants and let me know if anyone else reported something similar. 20 minutes later, Mr. Travers called back. 2 other tenants had gotten visits. Same story. A man claiming to be the landlord, trying to get inside for a quick check. Mr. Travers told us to call the police immediately if he came back. I didn't sleep well that night. Every tiny sound in the hallway made me sit up. Around 2:30 a.m., I was still awake, lying in bed, when I heard something outside my window. A faint scraping noise. I live on the ground floor. The blinds were down, but I could see a shadow shift across them. I didn't move. I just listened. Then I heard the sound of a window screen being jiggled. That's when I grabbed my phone and dialed 911. I whispered to the dispatcher what was happening. They told me to stay put and keep quiet. A few minutes later, maybe 5, maybe 10, I heard footsteps crunching away from my window. Then silence. Police showed up not long after. I let them in. They checked around the property, but didn't find anyone. The screen on my kitchen window had been partially removed, like someone was trying to lift it out, but they didn't get inside. A report was filed, and Mr. Travers installed new locks and a camera by the entrance that weekend. The guy was never caught. None of us ever saw him again. But what really gets me is how calm he was. Like he'd done this before. Like he knew what to say to not raise suspicion. If I hadn't known what Mr. Travers looked like, I probably would have let him in. I stayed there through the end of the semester. After that, I moved back in with my parents. I double-check every peephole now. Doesn't matter who it is. This happened last year, in the middle of December. I live in a residential part of Akron, Ohio. Older houses, quiet streets, lots of trees. It had just snowed a few days earlier, so everything still looked white and packed down. I live alone in a single-story house I bought after my divorce. It's nothing special, but I like it. Small driveway, porch light that always flickers, The kind of neighborhood where you mostly just wave to your neighbors and keep to yourself. It was a Sunday night, about 8:30. I was in the living room, sitting on the couch watching TV, when I heard knocking at the front door. Not loud, kind of fast and urgent. When I opened it, there was a woman standing on my porch. Probably mid-30s, brown hair in a bun, wearing a long black coat, no gloves. She looked cold and kind of frazzled. She immediately said, "Hi. I'm so sorry, but my dog just ran into your house. I think the door was open. He bolted in here, and I need to get him." I just stared at her for a second. "My door's been shut," I said. She kind of laughed and said, "No, it must have been open. I saw him run straight through. He's really fast." Thing is, I hadn't opened the door at all, not even a window. And my dog, a golden retriever named Hank, had been sleeping at my feet the whole time. I told her, "I don't think your dog came in here." But she looked over my shoulder like she was trying to see past me. "He's brown, about this tall," she said, holding her hand to about mid-thigh. "He responds to Cooper. Can I just come in and call for him?" That's when I really paused. Her energy felt off. Not desperate, but kind of scripted. I said, "Look, I'll go check. Just stay here a sec." I shut the door and locked it. I walked through the house, checking every room. Nothing. No signs of a dog. No paw prints. Nothing knocked over. Hank followed me the whole time, tail wagging, a little confused. When I got back to the door, I peeked out the front window first. The woman was still on the porch, but she wasn't looking at the house. She had turned and was talking to someone I couldn't see, down on the sidewalk. I cracked the door open and told her, "There's no dog in here. I checked every room." She turned back and gave me this little frown. "Are you sure? He could be hiding under something." I told her, firmer this time, "There's no dog in here." She didn't argue, just said, "Okay," and started walking back toward the sidewalk. I shut and locked the door again, but I didn't go back to the couch. I went straight to the window by my front corner. From there, I could see the street better. The woman walked out to a dark sedan parked right in front of my house. Driver's side door already open. She got in, and they pulled off slow. No leash. No calling for the dog. No walking up and down the block. Just got in and left. I called the non-emergency police line and told them what happened. They said they'd send a cruiser to patrol the area and took down my description. I didn't sleep much that night. I kept thinking about how calm she was, how she knew to say there was a dog, how she asked to come inside right away like that was the goal. A few days later, I was walking Hank down my street and saw a neighbor I chat with sometimes, older guy, retired. I asked if he'd seen anything weird lately. He said, "Actually, yeah, a woman came by around dinner time 2 nights ago, asking about a missing cat. She wanted to check my backyard." Same vague pet story, same attempt to get close to the house. I haven't seen her since, but I added a security camera by my porch, and I never ever open the door all the way anymore.
This happened just after the new year, January 2023. I live in a duplex outside of Spokane, Washington. Quiet area, mostly older folks. The kind of place where nothing really happens, and that's how we like it. I work from home, so I usually stay up late. Midnight, sometimes 1. That night, I'd just wrapped up some client work and was about to head to bed when I heard a knock at the front door. I checked the time. It was 1:40 in the morning. At first, I thought I imagined it, but then it came again. 3 slow knocks, spaced out. Not pounding, but not soft either. I wasn't expecting a delivery, and I wasn't about to open my door without checking. I moved to the side window and pulled the curtain just a little. There was a man standing on the porch. wearing a reflective yellow vest, like a delivery guy or utility worker. He was holding a medium-sized cardboard box, no logos, just plain brown. He was looking straight ahead, not moving. I watched him for a minute. He didn't knock again, he didn't look around, just stood there holding the box. After a few seconds, I tapped the window lightly. He didn't react. I tapped again, a little louder. Still nothing. I called through the window, "What do you want?" Finally, he looked toward the sound of my voice, but not directly at the window. Just kind of tilted his head and held the box out a little. I said, "Wrong house," and pulled the curtain shut. That's when I saw movement in the side yard. I froze and stepped back from the window. Someone else, a second person, was walking around the side of the house. No vest, dark clothes, no flashlight. I didn't wait to see what they were doing. I backed into the hallway and called 911. While I was on the phone, I turned off every light in the house and stood in the hallway, watching the front window from the shadows. The guy on the porch was still there. Now he was glancing toward the side yard, almost like he was waiting for a signal. Then, a minute later, he stepped off the porch, walked calmly back toward the street. I heard a car door open, then another. The engine started and they drove off. No headlights. The police showed up about 15 minutes later. I gave them my statement, and they checked the perimeter. No damage, no signs of forced entry, but the gate to the backyard was unlatched. They didn't find the box either, which means the guy took it with him. I have no idea what was actually in that box. Maybe nothing, maybe tools, maybe something worse. I got a motion light installed the next day, and a camera above the door. I also started locking the gate, which I hadn't bothered with before. If I hadn't checked the window, if I'd just opened the door like I usually do when a package comes late, I don't know what would have happened. But I'm guessing the guy in the vest wasn't delivering anything, and the guy in the backyard wasn't there by accident.